zSpace gives you all the instructions for what to do and like what wrenches and sockets and all that stuff you need. And it's also telling you what parts you should take off first and what to do fully. So if you do that and then move to the engine, you'd probably be a lot more comfortable saying, okay, I've done this before, I have it in my head, I can do this.
Going on the programs for this stuff, it kind of gives them the idea and helps like with their confidence, because instead of just panicking, they can just practice on the zSpace and then get their confidence up, and then once they master on there, then they can master it on the actual vehicle.